what would happen if you were to ever move as fast as Sonic the Hedgehog? Being an avid tricker, pushing your body to eventually go fast is one massive component to being the best out there, other than, you know, skill. To figure out the fiery insanity that would grace your legs as you shot to Sonic-level speeds, we first have to figure out just how fast Sonic runs. When it comes to the movies, we see Sonic run on water, race across the country, and easily scale mountains in a matter of seconds. Specifically in Sonic 2, we see Sonic casually stroll across a bridge in exactly 0.19 seconds. Seeing how much of the second film was shot in Fort Langley, British Columbia, and when doing a Google search for arch bridges in British Columbia, we find that the bridge is most likely the Alexandria Bridge, that also runs over the same river that runs along the town the movie was shot in. That is just over 607 feet in length, making Sonic's speed at this moment, using the simple formula of speed equals distance divided by time, at 2,178 miles per hour, blowing his measly 300 miles per hour out of the water. However, in the first movie, we see Sonic literally sprint towards the Pacific Ocean and back as he heads straight west, making the round trip from Green Hills, Montana, to the Pacific Ocean and back in exactly 3.2 seconds. Seeing how Green Hills exists in Montana, but isn't a real place, we can figure out its most likely real-life location, not through trying to find its location through major landmarks, nor through hoping that Sonic's energy blast would zoom just a bit farther out on the map, but like several channels before me, I'm going to have to use the town's population and elevation numbers, like the copycat that I am, to find that the town that rests at an elevation of 3,445 feet with a really low population of 1,981, or make it 82 people, on both topographic and elevation maps, matches up the most with either Granite County or the county and city known as Deer Lodge. No matter how many hours I have tried to find another one, since most of the other towns did not fill out their census forms, Deer Lodge seems to be the closest candidate that has a population of 2,938 and an elevation of 4,567 feet. Unless it more likely is the town of Drummond that has a closer elevation of 3,963 feet, but a population that might throw you and me off of around 300 people, making good old copycat Deer Lodge the place to be, making Sonic's straight trip west from the nearby road to the Pacific Ocean and back span 1,073 miles, placing him at a speed of 1,207,125 miles per hour. Then to make things even crazier, in the second film we also see Sonic running on water, a feat much more difficult than made out to be in movies, seeing how you have to push extra hard as the water you're running on will move backwards as you push on it. You're only able to push so many liters of water backwards to propel yourself depending on your shoe size, and you also have to be moving even faster to overcome the drag or fluid resistance of the water, as you overcome the force of gravity pulling you downward into the water, depending on your weight and the time it takes you to take each step. Seeing how Sonic in canon weighs 77 pounds and has a massive shoe size of 12 inches, Sonic would have to move on average with at least 3 times as much force as he normally does to match anything he does on land, which matches close to the fact that scientists estimate that the average human would need to move 3 times faster than Usain Bolt's top speed, or nearly 70 miles an hour, to move on top of water. However, then we realize that Sonic can move so fast that everything, including time, literally slows down to a crawl around him. The only way for Sonic to experience this bizarre reality of everything relative to himself stopping in place is if he was to move close to, if not as fast as light itself, making him travel at speeds over 670 million miles per hour. So what if a human was to ever travel at these Sonic level speeds? Well, one very important thing to consider is that speed is relative, or that your current speed is based off of how fast you're moving compared to what's immediately around you. So strangely enough, a human being moving at any of these speeds is perfectly fine. Right now, anyone standing at the Earth's equator is traveling over 1,000 miles per hour due to the Earth's rotation, while all of us are traveling at a constant 67,000 miles per hour around the sun, as everything inside the Milky Way galaxy is traveling around the universe at close to 1.3 million miles an hour.
Work smarter, not harder.
So as long as you don't end up flying into a building, no apparent harm would come to you whatsoever. Velocity isn't the problem, it's only the result of the real culprit, acceleration. As human beings, we're accustomed to experiencing 1g, or 1 times the Earth's gravitational force of 9.8 meters, or otherwise 32 feet per second squared. Meaning that if you were to fall or suddenly sprint across the country accelerating at 1 times Earth's gravity, you would double your speed every second, starting at 32 feet per second, or 22 miles an hour, doubling that to 44 miles an hour, then 88, and so on, hence the square part, until you comfortably reach just over the speed of light within a year. However, if you were to suddenly shoot up to the 1 million miles an hour that Sonic does in mere fractions of a second, you would be smacked with an overwhelming amount of positive G-forces, which is the feeling you get when taking off in an airplane and your chest gets pushed towards your back, as all of the blood in your head would suddenly get pushed downwards into your lower extremities, and you would soon lose consciousness and die peacefully. But much worse, vice versa, if you're to suddenly accelerate downwards, you would experience something called negative G-forces, where your back would get pushed into your chest as the blood in your lower extremities would shoot upward into your head, causing blood vessels in your eyes and head to swell and explode under the increased pressure, resulting in blindness, severe brain damage, and death. But this still isn't even close to the worst thing that will happen to you and Sonic himself. I've always loved being able to move around so much that I enjoy learning cool movements and have a fear of ever doing anything stupid enough to get me paralyzed. And let me tell ya, going fast is not the way to go. While accelerating to insane speeds at a safe acceleration is fine, if you were to sustain a fast-paced run, while you would be taking far fewer steps to complete every mile ran, you would be taking way more steps each second. If the average person in our bridge example was to race across the bridge at 2,178 miles per hour and thus in the same 0.19 seconds, that would mean they would have taken an average of 16 steps in that short time. Prolong this over a larger distance, say the 1,073 miles Sonic ran from Green Hills to the Pacific Ocean and back in 3.2 seconds, would see you taking nearly 9,000 steps to complete. And taking this many steps all at once is not something our bodies are prepared for, as you would cause insane damage to every moving joint, as your toes, ankles, knees, hips, and even the moving joints of your upper body move at speeds so fast that they would grind your joints to dust. Specifically, the ends of our bones are covered in a type of connective tissue called hyaline cartilage, a semi-translucent material that provides both support and flexibility to different areas of the body, while also acting as a shock absorber and reducing the friction between the bones in our joints as they move against each other. If you were to suddenly take 9,000 steps in 3 seconds, let alone for minutes at a time, your joints might as well be on fire, as you would produce so much friction that you and Sonic would not only completely grind away all of the cartilage in any and every participating joint, but you would have grated the ends of your bones against each other at such a devastating rate as to render all of them beyond swollen and just gone. Whatever part of your joint survived would most likely not be enough to walk on or move about with without serious pain and needing major surgery. But if none of this was very exciting, then I saved a really interesting fact for last. Sonic is able to move so fast that in some instances, like his super and hypersonic forms, he is said to be able to go far beyond the speed of light all the way to infinite speed, which would also give him infinite strength, as the force output he could produce would be limitless. So what's your trick to getting strong? As in the next What If, we discover what would happen to a human if they ever decided to train at 100 times Earth's gravity like Dragon Ball Z's Goku. So subscribe so you don't miss it.